let's talk about photo apps. Now, every smartphone, of course, comes with their stock photo app, but there's also all these others floating around. There's ProShot, there's so many, and everyone seems to have their opinion on what the best camera app for your smartphone is. Well, let's talk about it. So I have three, count them, 1, 2, 3 camera apps on my phone that I use on a regular basis. I have the stock camera app, I have ProShot, and then I have Hydra. And each one of these serves a different purpose. Of course, the stock camera app is the fastest. I can just snap a photo, boom, and I know it's gonna look good. Then, of course, I have ProShot, which gives me like full manual power. Which gives me full manual control, which looks like this. Let me pull up the screenshot I just took of the app. Which gives me full manual control. I can change anything I want about that setup. But then I have Hydra. Now, what does Hydra do for me that these others don't? Well, it allows me to do a couple things. Of course, you can take your normal images. It'll take HDR images that are somewhat different than Apple's, of course. Of course, it has a low light mode, has a macro mode, zoom mode. But then with the one I bought it for is this high res mode. And this high res mode, if I tell it to, I can do this in full manual. I can tell it to take up to 110 megapixel image. Basically, it just takes a bunch of images, stitches them together, and it sharpens the image. Now, this is somewhat nice because it gives you more editability, right? But how much do I actually use it? Well, I just downloaded a couple weeks ago, haven't done much because of school. But it looks like an app that would be actually pretty useful, so here's how this works. I click and hold the image, it capturing, processing. Still processing. And boom, image. Now, if we look at this image, it's sharp, and that's a sharp image, like really sharp. I can almost guarantee you if I took the same image on, say, my camera, I just stock camera app, it would not be as sharp. Now, what does this do? Well, this allows us a lot more editability, but it also just allows us a lot more resolution playability, so you can be a lot more precise in your edits and that kind of thing. Really, what camera app is the best? Well, of course, there's not really one, and of course, when it comes to video, there's hundreds of options. There's Filmic Pro, there's the stock, there's all these other ones that allow you so much more customizability and manual control over your camera. And I think for me, mostly I will just shoot with the stock camera app in RAW mode, because that gets me Apple's, state-of-the-art editing already on top of raw image. It also pulls in the most data, in my opinion. Of course, something like ProShot does pull in a lot of data, but for me, the stock camera application pulls in the most data. Now, of course, like I've said, when I really do want that customizability, because, well, we all know the lack of customizability in the Apple camera app. You've got your shutter, you've got your 3 lenses, and you've got a couple modes right in there. There's no like manual modes over here, something you'll see in something like the Samsung Professional or their Pro mode, if you will. But when we switch over to something like ProShot, we have full manual control. Let's do that. As you can see up here, we have our autofocus, we have our shutter speed, we have our ISO, and we have our Kelvin. Now down here we have just our lens options. So we have obviously my telephoto, my wide, and my ultra wide there. And I can switch between them because there's no such thing as a you can't actually zoom. You used to not be able to zoom in this camera application. That is something interesting. But the idea is you would just switch between your apps or your lenses like that, and there's the 77mm. There's the ultra wide, and so it's a lot wider of an angle, of course. But we're just gonna stick right down here in this one. But the idea was that this one would give you your full control. So up here we have our focus, and here we can do focus racking, make the background focus, or we just put it in auto. Where'd it go? Because I'm blurry now. So there's our focus, right? And that gives us the control and the ability to change our focus on this application. Then we have our shutter speed. So we can change our shutter speed something a little bit smoother or something a little bit jerkier. So that's cool. We're gonna put it a little smoother for now though. And we have our Kelvin. So we can change something a little bit cooler like this, or we can go up here and change something very warm like this. but we're just gonna put that back on auto. And so you can see this customizability it's allowing you to have. Of course, there's different codecs. You can do JPEG, high efficiency image capture, hike, ProRAW, low resolution, JPEG and a RAW, a JPEG, a RAW, and a high efficiency, or just RAW. And so there's all these different ways you can capture within this app. And I love it. Not sponsored, but I love this app. Now, I will say one thing it does struggle with is if you put it in just RAW, not ProRAW, you put it in just RAW, the images you get, I'm gonna put it in full auto mode over here. It struggles because of the scene. It needs to do some really good HDR, and it falls apart entirely. Now, you can of course pull this back, but if you really want it to look good and have the best jumping off place, putting it in Pro RAW, because that gets you the renowned Apple processing on top of the high resolution RAW image. And like that's a 27 megabyte file. Now, if you go into like the stock camera app and take that same picture, it's gonna be around the same file size. It's around 24. So there is a little bit of differentiation there, but not much. And to have the full customizability of something like this app, I think is absolutely wonderful. And you have your exposure compensation on the bottom here, which is great. So that's camera apps. Again, I love the stock camera app, but I also really love ProShot for a couple different reasons. Like I said, it just gives you a lot more customizability and user friendliness, if you will. So with that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next video. If you like this video, be sure to comment down below what you want to see in an upcoming video. And be sure to follow me on my social media. Links are below, as long as my websites. So pop over there, see what you like, listen to my new music that just released actually on Spotify and Apple Music today. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take it easy, fam. Peace.